Well, hello everybody. Good morning. It's Miss Peggy again. I'm here to tell you another story. How is everybody? Did you have a good week? I sure hope so. I had a pretty good week. So I have some things to show you again before we get started. I wanted to show you what's in your activity pack again. So your craft this week is a little wooden birdie. You see him? You can use markers or paint to make him however you'd like. Isn't that neat? And then if you wanted to, you could glue a magnet on the back and put it on the refrigerator. That's a good thing to do with it. I know mommies love to have stuff on the refrigerators, don't they? And then the other thing that I have is a picture about what our story's about today. So this picture, can you see it? That's pretty interesting, isn't it? It's just a bunch of people. I think it's the disciples. And we're going to learn about what's special about the disciples this time. So I have that. And then I have a family page for you to share with mommy. And there's some fun activities for you guys to do on there. So share that with your mommies when you get it. And of course, Jesus is with us once again. Now, if you'll remember in last week's story, Jesus prayed, didn't he? Yeah? Okay, so let's start out by saying, peace be with you. Be with you. And also with you. Miss Peggy messed up there, didn't she, a little bit? So last week in our story, it was time for Jesus to say goodbye, remember? And he was very worried about his friends, the disciples. And so he said a prayer to God to help guide them and keep them safe and happy on their journey to share God's love with all the other people. And so after that happened, and we didn't talk about it, but after that happened, Jesus went up in the sky to live with God. So he went right up into the clouds. And went to live with God. And so now it was sometime later, and all the disciples were gathered for Pentecost. Pentecost is a special day. And they were together, and they were talking to each other. And here's what happened. Suddenly, within the building they were meeting in, a big wind blew through. Whoosh. And it made a really strange noise. And then suddenly, everyone's hair just lifted up, kind of like static electricity, and their hair was sticking straight up, and it looked so funny. And then there was like a little flame of fire over everybody's head. And the disciples looked at each other. And they're like, oh my gosh, there's fire on your head. But you know what? It wasn't hot. They didn't get burned. It was just like a spark. And I've got a picture to show you. That's what it looked like. You see everybody's hair sticking up funny? And you see the flames over their heads? That's what happened, and that's what, when you get your picture out, I want you all to take your markers or crayons or maybe a little paint and paint a flame over all the disciples' heads. And I'd love to see it when you're done. If you want to get your mommy to take a picture of it and show it to me, that would be awesome. You know what you could do? You could even cut out some construction paper or something in little flame shapes and glue that on there if you wanted to. So that would make a really cool picture. And then you could color all their clothes and everything too. So that's kind of what happened. So then what happened next was all the disciples started speaking to each other in a different language. Now, there's a lot of languages out there, and I don't understand any of them except English and some sign language. But they could understand each other. They could understand all the languages that each of them were speaking. It was very, very different and very exciting. Then Peter stood up and he said, I want to tell all of you about Jesus. And he reminded everyone what Jesus taught them. He told them how Jesus died and lives again. It's time for us to begin a new life with God's Spirit leading us. The disciples were so excited to live differently and guided by God's Spirit. This was the very, very beginning of the Christian church. The very first time our church, a church like ours, started gathering and talking about God. So let's say thank you in the only other language Miss Peggy knows, and that's sign language. Remember how we did it? We just kind of hold our hand up in front of our chin and we say, thank you. Thank you. And if you know how to say thank you in another language, like maybe Spanish, you could get your mommy to put that on video, and we would love to put it on our Facebook page so that everybody can hear you saying thank you in a different language. You think you could do that? That would be so cool. So here's our picture again of all the disciples with the flames over their heads. And that was the day that the Holy Spirit visited, and the very first day of our church as we know it. And I'm sure it was very different back then than it is now. But that was the very beginning. I wonder how it felt to feel the wind blowing through the building that day. And I wonder what it was like to hear the sound that the wind made. And to feel your hair stand on end. And to hear the sparks sizzling above your head. And to look around and see the fire over everyone's head. And to hear everyone talking in different languages. Pretty amazing, huh? I think everything about God is pretty amazing. You all have a wonderful week. See you next time.